All right, here we go. Freeway Ricky Ross, welcome back. Still doing your thing out there, I see?
I'm trying, man.
Oh, you're not trying. You're succeeding. You got some big things in the works, and we'll talk about that later on in the interview. But I just kind of want to tackle a few of the big topics right now.
Yeah.
The first of which is Bill Cosby got his case overturned.
Yeah, he did.
Now, this is something that you're familiar with in terms of getting cases overturned.
Yeah.
Not what Bill Cosby went to jail for. Not that part. Not that part. I ain't going there. But getting cases overturned.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
You know, for someone who has not gone through the legal system in the same fashion, how much of an anomaly is this in the legal system to get your entire case overturned?
Well, I mean, it don't happen too often. You know, more cases lose than not.
Mm-hmm.
In the feds, I think they say like 1% get their cases reversed.
Okay. But I think
he was
Cosby
in the state, though.
He was in the state, right?
He was in the state. The state has a little worse record. I'm not sure about Pennsylvania, you know, what their numbers are. But
worse, meaning that more people get their cases overturned?
Yeah, more people would get their cases overturned. The feds are more like, you know, it's a saying, the feds arrest you, more than likely they got you. You know, they usually don't come in unless they have some solid evidence. But the things that they need to convict you are not as great as the state. You know, like the state needs like solid evidence, and the feds can do what they call they can draw pictures.
As you can see by this picture, he is clearly guilty.
Yes. and they allow the jury to also to piece the pictures together. You know, like we don't have a video camera, so you're not going to see the whole picture. So you got this picture and you got this, and you can infer that if this happened and that happened, that this could have happened.
Oh, okay. Now, does a panel of judges above the judge that convicted a person have to vote to overturn the case?
Correct. Okay. Usually 3 judges.
3 judges. So basically, so it has to go to the Supreme Court. In Bill's case, they had to go to the Supreme Court of the state of Pennsylvania.
Correct.
So 3 judges looked at this case and said, this should have never been tried. We're going to throw this out.
Exactly. From what I see, that he was granted immunity to testify by the prosecutor.
Exactly.
Who is the lawyer for the state, who was saying that we're going to prosecute you. This guy gave him immunity in order for him not to talk. I mean, in order for him to talk, to tell his story, to tell his side of the story. Otherwise, more than likely, Bill would have took the Fifth Amendment and they would have got none of the evidence that they wanted. So in order to get some of the evidence, he said, okay, what we'll do is we'll make a deal with you that anything you say can't be used against you in the court of law.
Yeah.
And once they grant you immunity on that, then none of that evidence should have never been used.
Right. And I had Tom Mesereau, Bill Cosby's original lawyer, that proceeded over the case, that represented Bill when they lost.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He basically said this is the most unfair trial that he's ever, been part of.
I felt it was a total injustice. I felt the trial was so unfair, so prejudiced against him. I felt he had been denied due process. I felt race had something to do with it, although I couldn't prove it. And I was very, very upset.
And he explained how it was politically motivated because the prosecutor and the judge hated each other, were arch enemies for years. So when that judge had that prosecutor's paperwork in front of his desk, he said, oh, you granted him immunity? I'm tossing that out. We're going to allow it to actually.
We can't. The judge can't toss it out.
Right. But that's what he did.
Well, he was dead wrong.
And it took 3 years and it went to the Supreme Court and those 3 judges decided to toss it out.
Yeah, well, they did the right thing because if the prosecutor grants somebody immunity, then, I mean, really, if they stop giving immunity, it kills their whole system. The whole system of the courts would no longer work.
Yeah, who would cooperate if they didn't have
Nobody
immunity?
would cooperate.
It's like, what's the point?
Yeah,
I'm just not going to say anything ever
Right. So
Right.
It basically, it can't stand under their law that, because I was granted immunity too before.
Aha. So did you use the same type of methodology to get off?
No. Mine was with the cops. When they got arrested, they wanted me to testify against the cops and tell them what the cops had did against me that was illegal. And in order for them to do that, they had to grant me immunity, because if I get on the witness stand and start to talk about what the cops did to me, then the police's lawyers could ask other things that happened in my life that the prosecutor didn't know about or somebody didn't know about. And if they do, then those things could be charged against you. But if they grant you immunity, from that day on, everything that you did prior to that, it can no longer be used against you under any circumstance.
Aha. Okay. But with you, it was a continuous criminal enterprise that you used.
That I got off with, yeah.
That you got off with.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, got it. And in your case, was the case overturned, or was it?
For the immunity?
Yeah.
No, I was granted immunity, but I still had to do some time.
Okay.
Like they could say for instance, in my case, in Cincinnati, it was for the Cincinnati case. And the Cincinnati prosecutor, he didn't agree with the LA people giving me immunity either. He was against it.
Okay.
Or no, it was the Cincinnati prosecutor that wanted the immunity. LA people was against it.
Yeah.
One didn't want me to have it, one did want me to have it. But once one give it to you, you're covered. It don't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter what the other one says. So what mine was is they said, okay, you plead guilty to 49 keys of cocaine. And then the other 12 months for the 49 keys that we had you charged with, or that we're going to charge you with, we'll throw those out. We'll forget about those. And that's how my immunity works. So immunity works different ways, for different people.
Right. But once it's set,
that's it.
Has to be honored. And in this particular case, it wasn't honored. And they basically took the statement where, I guess in the civil trial, Bill Cosby admitted to dropping someone in someone, the girl's drink. So that became the basis. Well, actually, the whole case was really about that. I
didn't really keep up with his case, but I do remember a little bit about it.
Yeah. Other women came forward, whatever, but really the case that he got convicted of was this old case that he was granted immunity for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which allowed him to settle and whatever else.
Well, they totally couldn't do that. Once you're granted immunity, it stands. And from what I understand, now other jurisdictions could prosecute you, but they can't use any of that information that they learn. And then if they go in and read that information, they can't even. It's crazy. Immunity is pretty solid. It's a pretty solid. That's why technically I can run around and say how many kilos I used to sell.
Because you have immunity, right?
Because they granted me immunity from all of my past, even though it's too, statute of limitation has run. But, I was able to start to say how many kilos I had sold in the 90s, when it still could be opened up. But it was only because they had granted me immunity.